Nova slammed the elevator button harder than she meant to, her finger throbbing from the impact. The doors finally hissed open on the 32nd floor. And there she was, Luna, leaning against the glass wall of her corner office. Arms crossed. That signature half-smile playing on her lips like she owned the dawn itself. "You're late," Luna said. Her voice low and smooth, slicing through the hum of the city waking up below. But her eyes held something else. A spark that made Nova's stomach twist in ways she couldn't name yet. The office was a sleek beast of glass and steel, perched high above Chicago's Loop, where the wind off Lake Michigan rattled the windows like an impatient lover. Nova smoothed her skirt, the one she'd picked because it hugged her hips just right. Professional but with an edge. And stepped inside. Papers scattered across Luna's desk like fallen leaves. Contracts for the next big merger that could make or break the firm. Nova was just the assistant, 28 and clawing her way up from coffee runs to strategy sessions. But lately, every glance from Luna felt like a promotion she hadn't earned. "Traffic," Nova muttered, dropping her bag by the door. Avoiding those green eyes that seemed to peel back layers she kept buried deep. Luna pushed off the wall, her heels clicking soft against the hardwood, closing the distance in 3 measured steps. She was 35. All sharp angles and quiet power. The kind of woman who turned boardrooms into her personal stage. CEO of Vanguard Tech. She'd built the company from a garage startup to a powerhouse in fintech. Her name whispered in awe at industry galas. But right now, in the pale light filtering through the blinds, she looked almost human. A faint shadow under her eyes from nights spent chasing deadlines. "Sit," Luna said, nodding to the leather chair opposite her desk. But she didn't retreat to her own seat. Instead, she perched on the edge, close enough that Nova caught the scent of her perfume. Something warm like vanilla and smoke. Nova sank into the chair, her heart picking up tempo, a drumbeat she couldn't quiet. They danced around this for months. Stolen moments in late-night meetings where fingers brushed over shared screens. Or elevator rides that stretched too long with small talk about weekend plans neither followed through on. Nova had come out in college. Dated a string of baristas and artists who faded fast. But Luna? Luna was a force. Married once to a man in a union that crumbled under the weight of her ambition. Now single and untouchable. Or so the rumors went. "What's the fire today?" Nova asked, forcing steadiness into her voice, though her palms were slick. Luna's gaze lingered, tracing the curve of Nova's neck where a stray auburn curl escaped her ponytail. "The pitch for the merger. It's tomorrow. And I need it flawless." She slid a folder across the desk. But her hand paused midway, hovering. The air thickened, charged like the storm clouds gathering over the lake. Nova reached for it, their fingers meeting, and Luna didn't pull away. Instead, she pressed just a fraction harder, her thumb grazing Nova's knuckle in a touch that sent heat coiling low in Nova's belly. "And after," Luna murmured, her breath warm against the quiet room, "I need you to stay late. With me." The words hung there, simple on the surface, but laced with intent that made Nova's breath hitch. Stay late. With me. It wasn't the first time, but tonight felt different. The offer slipping past professional boundaries like a key turning in a forbidden lock. Nova swallowed, her mind racing through the what-ifs. The careers at stake. The ache she'd ignored for too long. "What for?" she whispered. Though she knew, deep down, the answer was already blooming between them. Luna leaned in, her voice dropping to a confidential hush. The kind reserved for secrets shared in shadowed corners. "Privileges," she said, the word rolling off her tongue like silk. "Nighttime ones. No strings. No expectations. Just us. If you want." Her eyes searched Nova's, vulnerable for the first time. A crack in the armor that made her seem less like the boss and more like a woman unraveling at the edges. Nova's world tilted. Privileges. The euphemism hit like a gut punch, stirring memories of hurried hookups in dimly lit bars. But this was Luna, offering more than a night, offering a glimpse into the heat they'd both been circling. She should say no, protect the fragile ladder she'd climbed. But the pull was magnetic, undeniable. A sigh escaped her, soft and defeated, as she nodded, the decision settling heavy in her chest. "Okay," Nova breathed, the word tasting like surrender. The day blurred after that. A whirlwind of revisions and calls. The office buzzing with the pre-pitch frenzy. Nova typed furiously. Her mind split between bullet points on market projections and the phantom touch of Luna's thumb. Lunch was a forgotten salad at her desk. The skyline mocking her with its vast indifference. By evening, the team filtered out, waving goodbyes laced with envy for her dedication, oblivious to the undercurrent pulling her under. Luna's office transformed as dusk painted the glass in hues of orange and purple. She dimmed the lights, poured 2 glasses of bourbon from the crystal decanter on the sideboard, the amber liquid catching the last rays like liquid fire. To flawless pitches, Luna toasted, clinking glasses. But her eyes said something else entirely. They sat on the couch. Folders forgotten. The city lights twinkling below like a sea of stars brought to earth. Conversation flowed easy at first. Stories of college mishaps and first jobs that nearly broke them. Luna laughed. A rare sound. Throaty and genuine. Revealing the girl from a small Ohio town who'd hustled scholarships to Stanford. Nova shared bits of her Chicago roots. Growing up in a walk-up in Wicker Park with parents who loved hard but fought harder. Finding solace in art classes that led to marketing gigs. But as the bourbon warmed their veins, the talk turned personal. Confessions spilling like rain. "I've wanted this," Luna admitted, setting her glass down. Her hand finding Nova's knee. The touch electric. "Since that team-building retreat in Napa. When you challenged me on the vineyard tour. You didn't back down." Her voice cracked slightly. Emotion flickering like a candle in wind. Nova's pulse thundered. The heat building. Impossible to ignore. She leaned closer. Their breaths mingling. And then Luna's lips were on hers. Soft at first. Tentative. Then hungry. A dam breaking after months of restraint. Hands roamed. Skirts hiking up. The couch becoming a tangle of limbs and whispered names. Nova gasped against Luna's neck. Tasting salt and desire. The world narrowing to this stolen moment high above the streets. But as they caught their breath later, bodies spent and slick, reality crept in. Luna's phone buzzed on the coffee table. A text from her ex's lawyer about shared assets. A reminder of the life waiting outside these walls. Nova dressed in silence. The afterglow fading into something sharper. A mix of bliss and dread. "This changes things," she said softly, buttoning her blouse. Her voice laced with the weight of it all. Luna nodded, pulling her close one last time. Foreheads touching. "It does. But maybe that's okay." Her sigh was deep, resonant, echoing the uncertainty they both felt. As Nova stepped into the elevator that night, the doors closing on Luna's silhouette, she wondered if privileges could ever be just that. Or if they'd ignite a fire neither could control. The descent felt endless. The city rushing up to meet her. Full of possibilities and pitfalls. The next morning dawned crisp. The kind of autumn chill that bit through Nova's coat as she hurried across Michigan Avenue. Coffee steaming in her hand. The pitch had gone off without a hitch. Luna commanding the boardroom like a general. Nova feeding her cues from the sidelines. Their secret humming beneath every exchanged glance. But now, in the harsh light of day, doubt gnawed at her edges. What had she done? Crossing that line with her boss. In the office no less. Felt like stepping onto thin ice over a frozen lake. Beautiful until it cracked. She arrived early. The building still quiet. Echoes of her footsteps the only sound in the lobby. Up on the 32nd floor. Luna's door was ajar. The scent of fresh coffee wafting out. Nova paused. Heart stuttering. Before knocking lightly. "Come in," Luna called. Her tone professional. But when Nova entered, the air shifted. Charged with the memory of the night before. Luna looked up from her laptop. Impeccable in a navy pantsuit. Hair pulled back sleek. "Morning. Coffee?" She gestured to the pot on the sideboard. But her smile was tentative. Testing the waters. Nova nodded. Pouring a cup with hands that trembled just a bit. The domesticity of it all feeling dangerously intimate. They dove into emails. Scheduling the week's chaos. But the undercurrent pulled strong. Midway through a rundown on the post-merger integrations, Luna's foot brushed Nova's under the desk. Deliberate. Sending a shiver up her spine. "Sorry," Luna murmured. Not sounding sorry at all. Her eyes darkening with that familiar heat. Nova pulled back. Though every fiber screamed otherwise. "We can't. Not here." The words came out sharper than intended, laced with the fear she'd buried overnight. What if someone saw? What if this was just a fling for Luna? A perk of power? While Nova risked everything she'd built? Luna's expression softened, hurt flickering before she masked it. I know. But last night. She trailed off, standing to pace the room, the city sprawling behind her like a canvas of steel and glass. It wasn't nothing. For me. The admission hung heavy, pulling at Nova's resolve. She wanted to believe it, to let the warmth spread again. But the rational part of her, the one that had survived breakups and betrayals, whispered caution. Then what is it? Privileges. You said. Like I'm some executive toy? The bitterness slipped out, raw and unfiltered, born from too many late nights wondering her worth. Luna stopped pacing, turning with a sigh that seemed to carry the weight of her years. No. God. No. It's you. Nova. The way you see through the bullshit. The way you make me feel alive. She crossed the room, stopping just short of touching, respect in the space she left. But you're right. We need boundaries. For now. The rest of the week blurred in a haze of meetings and deadlines. The merger sealing with handshakes and champagne toasts in the conference room. Nova threw herself into work, volunteering for out-of-town trips. Anything to create distance. But Luna's presence lingered. In the notes scrawled on reports. The playlist she shared via email. Indie folk tracks that spoke of longing and quiet revolutions. By Friday, the tension simmered to a boil. The team celebrated at a rooftop bar in the West Loop. Fairy lights strung against the twilight sky. Laughter mingling with the clink of glasses. Nova nursed a gin and tonic, watching Luna from across the crowd. Her boss charming investors with effortless grace. But when Luna's eyes found hers, the noise faded. The world narrowing to that pull. Walk with me, Luna said later, appearing at Nova's side as the party thinned. Her voice cutting through the buzz. Nova hesitated, then nodded. The cool night air hitting her face as they stepped out onto the street. The L train rumbling overhead like a distant heartbeat. They wandered aimlessly at first, past trendy galleries in the West Loop. The streets alive with couples spilling from theaters. Conversation started light, dissecting the merger's quirks, but soon veered deeper. Luna confessed the loneliness of the top. The ex-husband who'd seen her success as a threat, leaving her wary of connections. I built walls, she said, stopping under a street lamp, its glow casting shadows on her face. Thick ones. You make me want to tear them down. Nova's chest tightened, emotion swelling like a tide. I'm scared too, she admitted, her voice barely above the traffic hum. Of losing myself in this. In you. The honesty burned. But it freed something. A sigh escaping as she stepped closer. Their hands brushing. Fingers lacing tentative. They ended up at Luna's apartment. A loft in River North with exposed brick and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Chicago River. It was worlds from Nova's cramped studio in Logan Square. All minimalism and quiet luxury. Jazz records stacked by the turntable. No words were needed as Luna poured wine. The red deep as their shared glances. They talked for hours on the couch, bodies inching closer, until Luna's hand cupped Nova's cheek, thumb tracing her jaw. This time, it was slower, deliberate, clothes shedding like old skins. Nova explored Luna's body with reverence, mapping freckles across her collarbone, eliciting gasps that echoed off the high ceilings. Luna whispered praises, her voice husky, hands guiding with a tenderness that belied her command in the boardroom. They moved to the bedroom. Sheets cool against heated skin, the city lights painting patterns on their entwined forms. Afterward, tangled in limbs and quiet, Luna traced lazy circles on Nova's back. Stay, she murmured. The plea soft, vulnerable. Nova did. For the first time, waking to sunlight filtering through gauzy curtains. Luna's arm draped possessively over her waist. But morning brought complications. Luna's assistant called about an emergency client in New York, pulling her away for the weekend. Come with me, Luna urged over breakfast. Scrambled eggs and coffee at the island counter. As my +1. Official. Nova laughed. Nervous. But the idea thrilled. A weekend away. No office eyes watching. She packed light. The flight a blur of nerves and stolen kisses in the airport lounge. New York hit them like a fever dream. The cab ride to the hotel weaving through Manhattan's chaos. Skyscrapers clawing at the sky. The client dinner was at a steakhouse in Midtown. All dark wood and power suits. Where Luna shone. Sealing deals with wit and steel. Nova sat beside her. Playing the supportive girlfriend role seamlessly. Though the label sent butterflies rioting. Later. In their suite at the plaza. With views of Central Park aglow in autumn foliage. They celebrated privately. Champagne bubbling as they danced to a phantom melody. Bodies swaying close. Yet. Cracks appeared. Over a walk in the park the next day. Leaves crunching underfoot. Luna's phone rang incessantly. Work bleeding into their escape. I can't shut it off, she snapped during a lull. Frustration etching her brow. Nova nodded. Understanding. But the distance stung. A reminder of the world separating them. By Sunday. As they boarded the flight home. Nova felt the heat cooling to embers. Questions swirling. Was this sustainable? Or just another privilege? Fleeting and fierce? Back in Chicago. The office awaited. A minefield of sidelong glances and whispered speculations. Nova buried herself in reports. But Luna's touches lingered. A hand on her lower back during meetings. Fueling the fire even as caution whispered warnings. One evening. After a grueling strategy session. Luna cornered her in the supply closet. The door clicking shut behind them. I miss you, she breathed. Pulling Nova into a kiss that tasted of desperation. Shelves of paper and toner pressed against their backs. The space cramped and illicit. Heightening every sensation. But as they straightened clothes. A knock sounded. A colleague's voice calling for Luna. They froze. Hearts pounding. The close call a jolt of reality. We need to talk, Nova said later that night. Over takeout in her apartment. The neon from the L train flickering through the blinds. Luna nodded. Setting down her chopsticks. Eyes serious. I know. This. Us. It's more than nights. But how do we make it work without burning it all down? The question lingered. Unanswered. As they held each other. The city's pulse matching their own uncertain rhythm. Winter crept into Chicago like an uninvited guest. Blanketing the city in gray skies and biting winds that whipped off the lake. Turning Michigan Avenue into a gauntlet of bundled figures. Nova and Luna had settled into a fragile rhythm. Stolen lunches at corner delis where their knees touched under Formica tables. Coded texts that read like love letters disguised as memos. But the heat simmered. Always there. Flaring in quiet moments that left them breathless and wanting more. Nova threw herself into a new campaign. Pitching ideas for a diversity initiative that hit close to home. Her passion for authentic representation stemming from years of navigating queer spaces in a straight-laced world. Luna greenlit it without hesitation. Her support a quiet affirmation that meant more than any raise. Yet. Doubts lingered. Whispers from colleagues about favoritism. The way Luna's door stayed closed longer when Nova was inside. One afternoon. During a lull in the holiday rush. Luna suggested a getaway. The cabin in Door County, she said over coffee in the break room. Her voice casual. But eyes alight. My family's old place. Just us. No signals. No suits. Nova's heart leaped. The promise of isolation intoxicating. A chance to breathe beyond the office's confines. They drove up on a Friday. The expressway giving way to winding roads flanked by snow-dusted pines. Lake Michigan a frozen expanse on their left. The cabin was rustic charm. Logs weathered by decades. A stone fireplace dominating the living room. Windows framing the bay's icy beauty. No neighbors. Just the crunch of boots on fresh snow and the distant call of gulls. Unpacking was a dance of domesticity. Nova hanging coats while Luna stoked the fire. Flames crackling to life. They cooked together. Pasta with sauce from a jar. Laughing over spilled wine. The simplicity a balm. That night? Wrapped in quilts on the couch. They shared stories by firelight. Luna opening up about her coming out. The fallout with her conservative family that left scars still tender. You're brave, Nova said. Tracing the lines of Luna's face. Emotion thickening her throat. Luna shook her head. Pulling her closer. Their kiss deepening into something soul-stirring. Bodies moving in sync on the rug. The fire's warmth mirroring their own. The weekend unfolded like a dream. Hikes along frozen trails where hand-holding felt revolutionary. sledding down hills that left them giggling and soaked. Nova felt seen. Truly. In ways her past lovers never managed. Luna's gaze holding her with a gentleness that coaxed out vulnerabilities long guarded. But on the drive back, reality intruded. Luna's phone, silenced but insistent with voicemails, buzzed to life. Boards pushing for expansion, she explained. Jaw tight. Asia markets. It means travel. A lot. Nova stared out at the passing fields. A knot forming. And us? Where do we fit? The question escaped, laced with the fear of being sidelined. Luna reached for her hand, squeezing. We make it fit. We have to. But the promise felt thin against the miles stretching ahead. Back in the city, the holidays amplified everything. Office party at the Art Institute. Twinkling lights reflecting off Picasso's. Where Luna introduced Nova as her right hand, the ambiguity a shield and a sting. They slipped away early, ending up at a jazz club in Hyde Park. Saxophone wails weaving through smoke. Their corner booth a cocoon. There, over bourbon neat, Luna confessed more. I love you, she said suddenly. The words tumbling out mid-sentence. Her face paling as if surprised by them herself. Nova froze. The declaration a spark to dry tinder. Joy and terror colliding. I love you too, Nova whispered back. The truth settling deep. But with it came the weight. Love meant stakes. Meant risking the privileges for something real. January brought storms. Literal and figurative. A blizzard shut down the city, trapping them in Luna's loft. Days blurring into nights of board games and baked goods. The world outside a whiteout. Nova sketched campaign ideas on napkins. Luna editing with red pen. Their partnership bleeding into passion seamlessly. Yet, tension brewed. Nova's promotion came through. Junior director. But whispers followed. HR's casual inquiry about boundaries. Luna downplayed it. But Nova saw the strain. The way her lover's sleep grew fitful. One night, after a tense call with Tokyo execs, Luna snapped. You think I don't see it? The looks. The doubts. This is on me. For dragging you into my mess. She paced the kitchen. Voice rising. Emotion cracking through. Nova stood. Closing the distance. Hands on Luna's arms. It's our mess. And I choose it. You. The fight deflated. Dissolving into tears and apologies. Make up sex on the counter that was raw. Reclaiming. But the pressure mounted. Luna jetted off to Singapore for 2 weeks. The separation a chasm. Nova filled evenings with friends at dive bars in Andersonville. Rainbow flags fluttering in the wind. But loneliness gnawed. Texts came sporadic. Time zones warring. Love notes turning curt. When Luna returned, jet-lagged and hollow-eyed, they clashed. You're pulling away, Nova accused. Over dinner at a Ukrainian spot in Ukrainian village. Pyragus cooling untouched. Luna's sigh was weary. The job. It's swallowing me. And you deserve more than stolen moments. The words cut. Exposing the fear they'd both harbored. Nova pushed back. Voice steady despite the ache. Then fight for us. Or let me go. The ultimatum hung. Terrifying in its honesty. Luna's eyes filled. But she nodded. Pulling out her phone. Resignations start tomorrow. Delegating. For us. The decision was seismic. A shift that left them both trembling. Spring teased with thaws. Cherry blossoms lining the Mag Mile as they navigated the new normal. Luna scaled back. Hiring a deputy. Their date's public now. Walks in Grant Park where hands swung free. The heat evolved. Less frantic. More enduring. Woven into every day. But past shadows loomed. Luna's ex surfaced. A lunch foreclosure that stretched into evening. Stirring old jealousies. Nova waited at home. Pacing. The silence deafening until Luna returned. Explanations tumbling. It's over, Luna insisted. But doubt festered. Leading to a night of silence. Beds separate for the first time in months. Reconciliation came slow. A weekend in the Smoky Mountains. Tennessee's hills a verdant escape. Hiking trails dappled with sunlight. They talked for hours. Airing grievances. Rebuilding trust brick by brick. You're my anchor, Luna said atop a ridge. Wind tousling her hair. Emotion raw. Nova kissed her. The vista sprawling below a testament to possibilities. Back home, strength grew. Nova launched the campaign. Billboards across the city showcasing queer voices. Luna at her side for the reveal event in Pilsen. Murals vibrant backdrop. Pride Month arrived. Parades thumping through Halsted Street. Rainbows everywhere. They marched together. Luna's hand firm in Nova's. The crowd's energy electric. Yet, a health scare jolted them. Luna's annual check revealing a benign tumor. Surgery scheduled. Nova held vigil in the hospital. Northwestern sterile halls echoing fears unspoken. Recovery was tender. Nova nursing with soups and stories. Luna's vulnerability a gift. Deepening bonds. Summer hummed. Lake days at Oak Street Beach. Bodies oiled and laughing. The heat now a constant. Comforting flame. But autumn circled back. Mergers looming again. Testing resolves. Luna turned down a board seat. Choosing balance. Their love the priority. One evening. Atop the Willis Tower. Skydeck glass floor suspended over the abyss. Luna dropped to one knee. "Marry me," she said. Ring glinting. Voice steady with certainty. Nova's yes was a sob. Joy overflowing. The city below a witness to their leap. The engagement unfolded quietly at first. Ring's simple gold bands exchanged in a civil ceremony at City Hall. Just witnesses and the hum of bureaucracy. But word spread. The office erupting in toasts and raised eyebrows. Nova's promotion solidified. Luna's leadership lauded for authenticity. They honeymooned in Big Sur. California's cliffs dropping to turquoise waves. Days of tide pools and nights in a cliffside cabin. Bodies and souls intertwining under star-pricked skies. Back in Chicago. Life layered on. Nova climbed to senior director. Her campaign's earning awards at AdColor galas in LA. Luna keynote speaker beside her. Their partnership a model whispered about in trade mags. But domesticity brought its own tempests. Arguments over chores in the condo they'd bought in Lincoln Park. French doors opening to a balcony overlooking the zoo's distant lions. "You're working too much again," Nova said one night. Overcooling stir-fry. Frustration bubbling from exhaustion. Luna rubbed her temples. The weight of a flagging quarter pressing. "It's temporary." The dip in crypto regs. But the excuse rang hollow. Echoing old patterns. They sought counseling. Sessions in a loop office with a therapist who specialized in high-powered couples. Unpacking power dynamics. The boss-employee ghost lingering. Vulnerability became ritual. Date nights at hidden gems like the Violet Hour. Cocktails veiling deeper talks. A year in. Nova's fertility dreams surfaced. Casual mentions turning earnest. Kids, she broached over brunch at Wildberry. Pancakes towering. Luna paused. Fork midway. Emotion flickering. Scared. Of failing them. Like my folks failed me. But therapy cracked the door. And they explored options. IVF consultations in white-walled clinics. Hopes fragile as embryos. Complications arose. Shots and scans yielding heartache. A miscarriage that left Nova curled on the bathroom floor. Luna holding her through sobs that shook the foundation. Grief counseling followed. Walks along the lakefront where waves mirrored turmoil. Healing came gradual. Adoption papers filed for a girl from foster care. 5 years old with braids and wary eyes. Ellie arrived on a rainy spring day. Her small hand in Nova's. Luna's tears silent as they drove home. Parenting was chaos and wonder. Sleepless nights tag-teaming bottles. Mornings of crayon masterpieces on fridge doors. Luna delegated more. Board meetings virtual. Her presence at Ellie's school plays a priority. Challenges persisted. Luna's mother visited from Ohio. Conservative edges softening slowly over family dinners. Acceptance hard won. Nova's parents. Divorced but doting. Brought chaos. Holidays a whirlwind of laughter and old wounds. Career pulls tugged. An offer for Luna in Silicon Valley. Equity and prestige. "We could move," she said. Maps spread on the dining table. Ellie asleep upstairs. Nova traced the Bay Area's outline. Heart torn. Chicago's home. Our roots. Debates stretched weeks. Walks in Washington Park where Ellie's giggles cut tension. Luna declined. The choice affirming. Their life a deliberate build. Years layered. Ellie growing into a whirlwind of soccer and science fairs. Nova mentoring at local colleges. Luna founding a non-profit for queer entrepreneurs. Boardrooms giving way to workshops in community centers. Anniversaries marked milestones. A vow renewal in the dunes of Indiana Dunes. Toes in sand. Ellie scattering petals. The heat evolved. Less wildfire. More hearth. Touches familiar yet sparking. One crisp fall evening. As leaves turned the alley behind their home into gold. Nova reflected on the path. From that elevator slam. The offered privileges that ignited everything. To this tapestry of love and loss. Resilience woven through. Luna joined her on the porch swing. Arm around shoulders. Ellie inside with homework. Worth it? Luna asked. Voice soft. Green eyes still piercing. Nova leaned in. Kissing her temple. Every burn. Every blaze. A sigh escaped. Content. The city sighing back. In quiet moments. Nova penned letters to her younger self. Advice on chasing heat without fear. On loving fierce and full. Luna read them. Tears smudging ink. Their story a testament to human frailty and fortitude. As night fell. Stars pricking the velvet sky. They held hands. The privileges long transcended into a life shared. Heat enduring. Impossible to ignore. Epilogue whispers of futures. Travels with Ellie to national parks. Yellowstone's geysers mirroring passions quelled and kindled. Conflicts arose. Teens testing bounds. Careers ebbing. But love anchored. Humanistic in its imperfection. Nova's final journal entry. On a rainy afternoon, we chose heat over safety. And found warmth that sustains. In the end, it's not the blaze that defines us. But the embers we tend together. The city pulsed on. Indifferent yet cradling. Their tale one thread in its vast weave. Leaving echoes of courage. Connection. The quiet power of two women building against the odds.